Alrighty, made the plunge. Bought my wife the Victor DC475. I didn't see any unboxings, so I figured I'd go ahead and do it. My wife's a medical coder, so I'm trying to give her an ideal setup. There will be some other videos linked to this if you're a medical coder for ideas on how to make your life a little more comfortable and less stagnant. But 3-monitor design helps, so let's get to it. I guess you know it's new if you get it in this box and it's still got the straps. If you don't have those straps or both are broke off, you may want to question it. But at any rate, I'm going to tripod it. Don't have a GoPro yet. I ordered one, but I'm not going to make my wife wait on me getting that to make this video. So you can see I kind of rigged up the tripod. So not as good as if I had this on my head, but this is going to be too difficult to hold the camera. So let me go ahead and pop it on the tripod and we'll get started. I'll go ahead and edit in some better close-ups. You can kind of get an idea if this is something that you want to tackle yourself or not. Probably won't be too bad. Yeah, I'm not going to flip through all these, but I'm going to add it. So, that's what we get right out of the box. What I'm going to do, I'm going to just start laying stuff out. No, I don't do time lapses, sorry. Every time I watch a video, usually the one thing I'm looking for, somebody either doesn't show it or they time lapse it. Time-lapse software has been around for a while. It's not new. It's the kind of stuff usually when you're new to editing, you gotta play with it and feel all technical to do that, but defeats the purpose, if you ask me. No labeling on this box. Well, that's kind of scary. That looks like a monitor mount. Why do I only have 2 of these in here? Monitor mount number 2. What's in here? Okay. Maybe the center mount's a little different, so it's in a different box. That's got to be the center, because the other 2 are identical. DC475, that one's at least got a label. Probably wouldn't hurt to try to keep these parts together. Okay, mount, mount, mount. Arms, one of these little rollers. Open up DC475. Yeah, a little box knife or something. Letter opener would have been better. Okay, here's our power assist unit, and it's got the most weight to it. Everything else is light, probably light and cheap, but this is affordable. That's what makes this ideal, the price point. Some stuff I don't like about it, and we'll go over that when it's all put together. Okay, so we got another hardware bag here. And it comes with tools. Now that's a plus. Granted, that's pretty commonplace nowadays, but it's just really nice. Especially for you non-mechanical people that got the little cute little toolbox that if it's not in that box, you're not going to be getting it done. So, power cord, standard. Oh, I know the number for that off the top of my head, but I can't think about it. Okay, if you lose your cord, let me see. Hopefully I can't see what you're looking at, but it's the rounded, not where one of them's flat. And it's probably about ½ an inch back, because some of them have different depths. You don't want to be too short. You could be a little longer. It does have a part number on here. I'll go ahead and post it now. Yeah, that's got good weight to it. It's at least 30 pounds. That's the kind of shit that pisses me off, though. You see that? Brand new in the box. And already, they couldn't even make sure. You can see oil that's still on this from manufacturing. And you could just tell this wasn't cleaned up when they put the felt on. Now, the good news is this is going to probably bolt down. So we'll just make sure this flap doesn't get folded back. But that's just, you know, come on, Victor. Getting there. We'll open up DC475. Well, okay, that's just the general model number. Be nice to have a sub-part number if you ever had to order parts for this. Hopefully it's in the manual. Hopefully you can even get parts. At this price point, I'm scared that when that burns out, you're shit out of luck. But hopefully I'm wrong. And if Victor gives a shit about their products, they should be commenting on my video for anything that they feel they need to add. Ooh, now that's got good weight. That's definitely going to be the counterweight for that mechanical part. So yeah, that's got good weight. It's about 1/4 of an inch thick. Sheet steel. Can't tell if it's powder coated or painted. I'm going to assume that's powder coated. So they did a decent job on that. They got these feet. It's just felt. It's a very tough felt, though. You can tell it's decent quality. Not like that crap on there. But again, that felt on that part's probably going to get sandwiched in. So I don't think it's going to really matter too much. Oh, those screw off. May want to make sure those are snug. You don't want to over tighten them, because this is just, I ain't gonna say it's wood. It's probably particle board pressed together with a chemical bonding solution, so you could strip these out. Just make sure they're snug. Mine weren't. I could have vibrated during shipping though. That's good. At least they got the anchors, steel anchors in there, so. Okay, I think we're unboxed. I'll probably end up opening the tools next, but let's just go ahead and see if there's anything interesting on here. Been assembling stuff for a long time. As a matter of fact, out of high school, I spent the summer putting stuff together for IKEA. It's not a race. It's not, can you do it without the directions? Just do it right. And you don't have to use the directions, but sometimes you see something and you're like, oh, I didn't think about that. Been doing this stuff for a long time and that still happens. I don't have too much pride to look at the directions. What you should do is, I was going to say put it 2 windows side by side, but if you're getting this, you should get this. So sorry, it's late, I'm tired. I had to wait for the family to go to sleep so I could use the living room here. I don't have a whole lot of room in my house. And that's why I didn't vacuum, because everybody was asleep. Okay, we do have an exploded parts diagram. So what I'm going to do, and this is the part where, okay, let me show you this. See how this is just all thrown in bags? The better companies are taking a piece of cardboard and they're doing like blister tabs where when you look at this, like these screws are G, these are J. Instead of me having to organize it and shuffle through it and shit, they should do the blister tab style and have it all noted, and then when you need that, you use a little razor blade, you cut it open. So Victor, if you're watching, come on, make $1 less on the product to make it a little bit easier for my Aunt Shirley to install, you know. Okay, let's see. I think I'm going to move my arms up here, maybe out of the camera range. And then, what I'm going to do, tool, I'm going to have a pile just for my tools. Okay. Now these are the only 2 long ones. So that's got to be O. Let's see, out of these, I start with the most obvious stuff first. It's just easier that way to me. Okay, these are nylon hex nuts. We got 2 of them. We just so happen to also have 2 of these Allen head machine screws. I guess they're probably going to go together. I could be wrong, but that's my gut feeling. Let's see. Okay, H is going to be on the screws. Nuts. It's also a good idea to do this to make sure that they didn't omit something at the factory. You know, if somebody in China boxing this, you know, having a bad day, it's Friday night, they have a hot date to go on, shit happens. So, okay. I am not seeing those nuts. Oh, okay, my bad. Oh, these nuts go with these long ones. Okay, and then looks the same. They all look the same. What do I got here? 1, 2, 4, 8, 9 of them. And this is where I gotta think a little bit more. Okay, G is the only one that has 9. There's going to be a J that looks similar on the piece of paper, but there will be 12. And that must be in one of those other hardwood bags. So, now if you wanted to make this easier, what I would recommend, get notebook paper or printer paper, take a sheet. If you know, for example, that these are O, put O on that piece of paper, set it on that piece of paper. It'll make things go a little bit quicker, especially if you're tired like I am right now. Okay, so those are good to go. I have a feeling these are just going to be for cable management, which when we go over monitor and setup and all that, I'll do that in another video. That won't be in this video. But you can kind of see it's got the double face tape. And then, you know, just for retaining. That's nice though. At least they added it. That's a nice touch. I don't know that I'll use that. I'll probably find my own creative way of doing it, but it's really nice that they added it. Why they can have that and not clean the oil off that, I don't know. But we'll take it. After this is assembled, you want to keep the tools. This is the kind of stuff that gets loose over time. Put all the tools right back into this, make a little folder, put all your shit together, then you have it when you need it in the future, or if you need to buy a screw, whatever. Okay. See, I don't know if I should open up. I don't think I need to open up these bags yet. You would think the mounts are going to go last, and you would think all the screws and hardware, etc., that's in those red bags go with the mounts. Logically, you would think. So rather than get a mess going and make it any more difficult than it has to be, let's just start assembling, and then if we can't find something, we'll start hunting around for it. So, okay, first thing we want to do, and if you're following along with me, we got these little bubbles, right? Bubble 1, bubble 2, I'm on bubble 1. So we want to take the base. Actually, let's go ahead and get the hardware together. It wants to use I. And why does I not look like anything I already unbagged, huh? Okay, I is for the Allen wrench, which there's a couple of them. Granted, this isn't Victor's fault. This is everything coming out of China. It would have been nice if you put the sizes on the Allen wrenches, but you could tell one's bigger and one's smaller. Actually, they got them both listed as I, so you just go by whichever one fits your machine screw. Okay, G. So G is those 9 that we did take out, but we're only going to use 5 of them right now. So let's go ahead and grab 5 of our G's, which will be 5 and leave us with 4 to use at a later point. It works. We got a black one and we got a silver one. I'm going to guess this is the silver one. It works with the silver one. See, if I can do this in the middle of the night, you can do it too, because I'm pretty tired. But I had to research GoPros all night and all that, and I decided on a GoPro 8. Hard decision, because you couldn't replace the lens, but that'll be for another time. Sorry to get off topic, but that's why I'm up even later than I planned on being. It's probably 3, 4 in the morning. I didn't even look. Just wanted to make you guys this video. Okay, so this is where my eyes are a little foggy. I gotta make sure I'm facing this out right. Granted, this will probably be faced out, because that's the part that's you're gonna see when you sit at the desk. So you want to take this metal plate here and you want to set it up so that you have Victor facing out, or at least the direction that this is gonna hang out. Okay, I'm guessing this is going to be the hardest part of the project, because this is heavy and this is heavy. So what you have to do, and a helper would be nice, I'm going to make sure this is all not going to flake up on me. Kind of balances, not very well. I may have to lean it on the floor, but I'm actually going to go sideways with it and put one in my mouth, because once you get a couple, it'll hold. Actually, something doesn't look right there. No, that's right. Okay, I'm just tired. Yes, the holes line up nicely. So I'm going to kind of use it, hold it on my chest. You don't want to make these tight. You want to get all 5 in. Then you want to snug them all down lightly, and then when you have them all snugged down, you go ahead and tighten them. But when you tighten them, you want to have it tight and then some. Don't go over tightening them, because between these screws and those fittings, they're cheap. They're not super hardened materials. You're going to strip out threads or something. But actually, for something like this, you wouldn't want them too hard, because the harder the steel, the more shatterable, is that a word? The more shatterable it becomes. Whereas the cheaper the steel, the more flex it has, the more it can flex before it wants to shatter or share or anything of that nature. Like I said, I'm just snugging them. Hopefully you can see that okay. See, once I get my GoPro, I can set up the GoPro, and then I can monitor it on my phone and make sure you guys see everything, because you can only edit so much later. And that's the kind of stuff I will edit. You're not going to get goofy music, you're not going to get time spans. You're unfortunately going to have to hear me babble, but you can always fast forward that. Okay, that's my last one. So I'm going to go, I just went tight and then some. Tight, and when you do that, the others will loosen up a little as it snugs. And then some. I would say what was that? Maybe 1/8 of a turn. But yeah, don't He-Man it. Especially if you got a strong man around the house, but he's not a very mechanical person. They always think they got a He-Man shit, you know? Watch him. Or her. I've seen some bodybuilding women that can He-Man stuff too. But with these cheap screws, it doesn't take much of a He-Man. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and check them all. Make sure I didn't lose one. Don't assume, because this is one of those parts that it's not going to be maybe as easy to get back to once it's assembled. As a matter of fact, this will be facing your desk, and other than the tolerance of these felt feet, that's it. So you won't even know when it starts coming loose, other than if you heard a rattle or whatever. Maybe you could peep under there with a flashlight every now and then, but the only thing I would have changed here, Victor, there's this little blue crusty Loctite looking stuff that a lot of these stuff like this that's coming out of China has pre-assembled, so it can't, you know, vibrate out. That would have been nice. I would have used that here. That would have been a really good place to use that. Okay, so with that put on, we are now going to want to flip it and put it on its base, okay? Looks like we're going to be starting from the back. So I'm actually a little worried, because once again I feel like I'm losing a part. Well, maybe not. It looks like there should be a power block. Like the power cord goes to the power block, which goes to the unit. I'm hoping that they updated the design. No, it's going to need a power block. So somehow, somewhere, I overlooked the power block. So what I am going to do is make sure I didn't overlook that and see if it got boxed, because it was not with the power cable. And yes, if it takes me too long, I will edit this out. Alrighty. Good on Victor, bad on me. Being overtired, I shouldn't have overlooked that. If I had more room, I would have probably just laid out everything in this order, especially if I was somebody that was a little bit mechanically challenged. Just set everything in that order, you know. Then you know too, before you even get started, that you have everything. Beautiful. So it wants us to hook up the power block, which actually I'm not going to, well, you know what, I am going to do it because I have the video. I was going to say I was going to wait till I moved it to my wife's office. So we're going to take off this tape, take off the twist tie, And then it looks like they have a little locking mechanism. Actually, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to walk the dog here and just kind of make that wire nice, since it's a little cramped up from being packaged for however long it's been packaged. Okay, when you plug this in, you have one that's a spade. For anybody that doesn't know that terminology, it's flat and it's wide. You have another one that's a pin, and basically it's just like shaped like a pin. It's blunt, it's round, it's not sharp enough to stab you, but you know, so you can't do it either way. It only fits one way, but it's pretty obvious when you look at it. Basically take the big one, line it up with the big one, plug it in, and then it's got this nice, which this is nice, this nice little connector right there that you snap, and that helps that you can't yank it. That is nice. Personally, I wish the block would have just been built into this, and you would have just plugged it straight in like a computer, either using a, what is that, a NEMA 13, I can't remember, or one of these. I'm too tired to remember all the connectors. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Okay, so this can probably go either way. It can. Usually I put it with the writing down, not for any particular reason. It just seems to me like that's how I do it. So literally that's all they showed us. I would have thought that would have been the last step, but we'll do it the way they say. Okay, so now we are going to go ahead and add this front piece. So now we want to take the base, which is starting to have a little weight now. Move our power cord out of the way. And you're going to be able to tell by look, well, you got these feet, okay? But I was going to say, it's rounded on the top, and it's not rounded on the bottom. But you'll figure out which way it goes, because you're not going to want the feet on your work surface. How much you want to bet those 4 are going to be that 4 left over from that 9 we started with? G, and they are. This is relatively easy to assemble. Once you get that initial base onto the metal plate, I think you could handle it by yourself. But let's see how this goes here. I'm going to use the light above me to line the holes up. You got to kind of push them in there. The holes are drilled with really tight tolerances, which is a good thing. You don't want this being jiggly, but they don't just fall in there. You got to kind of push it. But that's good. We want it like that. Now what you want to be careful of here, and mind you, if you have a lot of other tools, you could probably find tools that would work better than what they give you. When you're spinning that, try not to scratch this. If you're worried about it, put a little masking tape or a little saran wrap or something around it first. I'm just gonna, actually I should turn this so you can see better, shouldn't I? I'm just gonna use my fingers and kind of make sure that I'm covering it. But yeah, you're gonna look at that part. That right there is like the hood ornament of the car right there. You don't want to scratch it right there. This is decent though. For the price point, it's decent. So far, so good. I'm doing that lefty, and again, just like with the other screws and everything we screw, we're not going to He-Man them one at a time. We're just going to get them all in finger tight. Okay, now I'm going to go back, and instead of getting it like this, I'm going to use the leverage and put it horizontal. And again, what I want to do, I want to go tight. Actually, I got so much leverage, you can go a little tighter. Okay, these, we don't want to go too tight. I don't know how to explain this. After you do it 2 or 3 times and it feels the same and it doesn't feel like it's getting tighter, stop. You can always re-tighten it later, but you don't want to over-tighten it now. Because these, well, let's see. That's tightening a little better, but what it's probably doing is it's eventually going to spin that anchor that's glued in there, that little metal piece that's threaded. But yeah, you're not going to get these snug. That could have been designed a little bit better. The way Victor should have had this designed, when that thing sunk in, it should have had like 2 little ears that stuck out so that it was in grooves so it couldn't spin, and then have that glued. But not horrible. I mean, it's not going to be wobbly, but I could tell that was the first thing I've seen. That could have been done better. Okay, let's see here. Okay, you know what? It's going to bolt from the bottom too, so maybe that's why they're not making it where it gets super tight. So you are going to have to power it up because it's going to want me to raise this to be able to get to the bottom bolts. So, fortunately for me, I have a little whip plug for the vacuum machine. That's easy to get to. First time I got to play with it. We'll just let it ride. Okay, there's our raised platform. Even without all fasteners, it's decently sturdy. So, which hardware are we going to use here? We got it lifted up, and we want to use, does it look like H? I should be telling you the bubbles. Our last step was step 3. We're now on step 4, bubble 4. So that's H. Oh, was that just for the cord? What? No, chrome bolts, my bad. Okay, that's what I thought. It's just going to be these 2 right here. And they are going to go, probably only one spot they can go. But when you look at yours, it's going to be in the front 2 corners. As front as you can go on each corner in this area right here. And we are, I believe, going to use this silver one again. So let me crawl under there. It would have been nice if Victor made this video, except for they don't want you to think about the assembly. You know, people are like 50-50. Either they get excited like a little kid, like, ooh, a new toy to play with. Or they're like, oh my God, I gotta use a tool. I don't even change my own oil. I'm supposed to put together a 3-monitor computer stand. But that's why they do it. You know, they don't want you to see that and get discouraged. And obviously they don't want to have a support network for you to have somebody locally that could maybe assemble it. But again, be brave. This isn't that bad. Okay, so those are in. So that completes step 4. So far the instructions have been pretty good. I've seen much worse. And they're baby stepping it pretty good. They're not combining steps per bubble, which I think is good. Attach monitor arm with nut and bolt using wrench. Okay, is that going to be, yep, that's going to be our 2 big bolts. So what we got to decide here, these monitor arms are probably the same. Now as you can see, one of them had this snug enough See that right there? On the other one, it was loose. So that's either, hey, we need to get out of here, it's Friday, we got a party to get to, or it just vibrated loose and packing. Now personally, I could see this vibrating loose, but I can't really see this sliding off, but who knows what happened. So let's make sure we get it slid on the right side. Now assuming they did these right, okay, flat, kind of curves, square on the right. Now this could end up being flip-flopped on the other side. Actually, it probably is. See what they should have done here, and again, this isn't hard to figure out, but they just call this N, and they're calling both of these N, even though they don't show you that they are. They should have put a label. They should have made one letter and one another, just to make it that much more simpler for people, because you do not have perfect symmetry on these. So my guess is, depending on if you want to have, you probably want to have this rounded side facing in so that it's not binding up on the corner, but that also means you probably don't want to put it on that way. So with that being said, depending on how those pieces are going to fit on, I don't know if you're going to want this square. Yeah, you're going to want this square to the front, I think. So I'm going to take this first one that's got the square to the front. If I'm wrong, we'll go over this. And we're going to put this on the left side, okay? Which I'm guessing, let's check hardware, is going to be these two long ones and these nuts. So we have, and we're on bubble number 5, by the way. O, and I don't think that they're giving us a bubble on the nut. So directions are starting to get a little bit more half-assed, but not unbearable. But yeah, that's the only nut that comes with it. So that's how we're going to do it. Well, then again, the monitor could rest on this. If that's the case, then this would have to go on that side. Let's look at the picture. Well, we want the squares forward. We want the nipples up. Let me show you this, okay? See, that's how you scratch a new surface. Even though I'm doing that, don't do that. Square facing forward, what I'm calling the nipple or the pivot rod facing up. So if that's the case, then because this nipple has to go up, this now goes to my right side. So you want to get this on there. Well, I really shouldn't have put those there. You want to put this little piece on here, and I'm going to have to put it on the other one, so we'll see how hard they are to get on. And again, you're going to have a rounded side and a more 90-degree, not a perfect 90, it's still a little rounded, but not like this. This is almost like 45 degrees. This is close to 90. So that's the side. When you put it in over here, that's what you want on the right side. And as you can see, it's a real tight fit with this piece right here. But doable. I guess if you had to, you could turn that like that, or turn it like play with this and turn this as you push this down. So there's that arm. Then we come back to this one, okay? Now this has the little thingy in there, so that's probably how this is going to fit. So, because we're doing the left one, which to you is going to be the rear one, I probably should have turned this for the video, huh? Okay, so we know it's going to be blunt side front, so that's going to be our up and down orientation. We need the square towards the front with the pivot joint up, okay? So, as you can see, it needs to go into this sliding piece So that should have been pre-assembled. That probably shouldn't have fallen apart, especially how tight it's packed in that box. So I'm just going to take this, start it in the top, and then on the bottom I got to line that little slider up right there. And again, this is much easier if you're not doing it on camera and trying to show it. And that's if I'm doing it right, because actually I think this little slider doesn't go in the middle. It's got to go to the back. So see how I did that? And then you got to get this little piece. And then mine was loose, but there was that little piece like on the other side, which I did have sit out here. And it's behind me. So with that lined up, hopefully mine's not stripped. No, it seems okay. Because this is eventually what you're going to loosen to fine adjust your monitors. This isn't bad, but I would have put another point of articulation right here. That wouldn't have made or that wouldn't have broke the design. You know, it wouldn't have broke the bank to design it like that. Okay, so square to the front. And once again, we have another one of these adjusters. There we go. Now what I can do, I can swing that arm in while I'm working on it. These nuts, for some reason, which are, unless it, no, it's not going to show it on the next picture. What it shows you is L, which is the little wrench tool. 13 millimeter on one side, 14 millimeter on the other side. I'm guessing these are 13. They are. Don't use the 14 or you're going to strip it, because it'll kind of catch it, but as soon as it gets tight, bad things could happen. So 13. And these little nuts, we're on step 5. It doesn't want to tell you what the nuts are, so I'm going to tell you. The nuts are, oh, that's right, because it's just part of O. That's actually sloppy. They should have had their own designation. So O is the bolt, and this bolt's probably about 3 inches, and the nut together. And because these got the little nylon threads, they don't have to be tight. You want to make it like a little bit snug, but if you make it too tight, this isn't going to want to swing very good. So what you got to do is you tighten it, not too tight, but tight enough to where you're comfortable how much resistance it takes to push this. I mean, this is really floppy right now. So what I'm going to have to do, and they actually don't show you on the picture. No, they don't. You're going to take, I'm guessing, the black wrench, okay? No, that's too small. So they don't give you anything to hold the top one, do they? You know, it's got a hex. The directions don't show a missing tool, but that's another mistake. There should be a third tool to hold that top while you tighten the bottom. So let's see how far I can get until it wants to spin the whole thing. Okay, fortunately now it wants to spin. As soon as I got a little bit snug, it wants to spin. That's actually close enough. So you don't technically need a tool, but because of machining variances, you may not have that go as well. If that's the case, you're going to need to either hold this with a pair of pliers, do it gently so you don't nick up the black coating, or you got to find an Allen that fits this. I will go ahead and check that later, and when I edit, I will post that size now. But that's perfect. As you can tell, let me tighten this so it's not, well, I can't tighten that. See how it doesn't want a free swing? That's just right. I'm going to come back to the other side. Yes, you could screw each side, but I just like doing it this way. Or I should say fasten each side, one side at a time, but it's just how I chose to do it. And the directions don't really tell you. This again feels like the other side. I would have liked to have seen a little bit better of a system on that. These threads don't stick out very far, and they don't even come flush or a little bit through on the nylon. So really, this bolt should have been a little longer. But I know they're trying to stay with a common size bolt, and it works. But that could always be changed. You could use your own fastener if that was ever an issue. I don't think it's going to be a break. But what I will tell you, when I tighten this one, it's nice. Okay, the one that fell off from the factory, unless if I have it on wrong, and I don't, this one's really loose, like to the point where I may have to call Victor. Now let's see here. Okay, am I overlooking anything? Okay, that's what I'm overlooking. See this sliding piece right here? Hopefully you can, based on the camera angle. Let me take a peek at the camera and hope I don't bump it over, because you're going to need to see this part. Yeah, you won't see that part. Sorry, I should have been doing this with this down. Forgive me, YouTube. That's why I'm getting that GoPro I just ordered a few hours ago. Okay, now you can see it. So we just put these screws in right here, okay? And I guess I'll go over really quick. Well, you can hear what I said, you just couldn't see it. But basically, you were snugging these down. And you were adjusting this to where you could get this to line up and put it in. Okay? Now, like I said, this one fell apart. So what I need to do, it's got this little, I guess you could call it a slip bushing. We're going to move that slip bushing in. And now this is where it would have been easier for me if it was still up. But I'm just going to lay down, line it up underneath here. Much better. No jiggly. And of course, this you barely tighten. If it's a little bit loose, slide your monitor. Doesn't take much of a tight for that not to slide. Tighten it just till you feel it cinch up, and that's plenty. Okay, so that's that. Now, I have a feeling we're going to start putting on the mounting brackets. Loosen knob slightly to raise or lower monitor arms. That's these right here. That's part of the one thing. There's two things I don't like about this unit. Again, at the price point, it's the best all around at the time that I bought. But instead of making this right here, even though I can adjust the desk, I can't use buttons to adjust this. I would have put another set of buttons to be able to adjust this, because when you're sitting, this is going to be adjusted ideally to this, but then when you're standing and your angle changes, it's a pain in the ass if you want to make this a little bit higher, which we're going to see when I get it on the desk, and I'll show you all that. But you have to undo all four of these, and not only do you have to do that, but you got to hold it so that it doesn't fall. Granted, if you just loosen them a little, it's okay. Yeah, see that? And that's without the weight of monitors. So that is not going to be fun. If you're backed up to a corner or you're backed up to a wall, actually a corner would probably give you a little more room. With the monitors in the way, it's going to be a real pain in the ass to adjust this. That's not meant to be adjusted often. Unless if you have a cubicle where you can just walk right up to the back of it, and then it wouldn't be that bad at all. But keep that in mind when you're shopping and looking at these. Even though I'm sure they did that to keep the price down, they could have done some type of lever system with a quick release where you could have just felt under, cranked the lever maybe like 45 degrees down, adjusted it, and then levered it back up or something. You know, this is just kind of half-assed. So I'm going to go ahead and bolt that on. I'm going to slide this up to make sure that I don't keep you out of the camera again, which again, I'm sorry about that. I'm too tired to start the video all over. You get the gist of it. These don't have to be super tight at all. You'll just kind of feel it get snug. It's solid. So far the desk is solid. Maybe one of the reasons they have you put that plug on there first, other than just, you know, to be able to get those bottom silver screws in, is to make sure it works. You don't want to assemble all this and find out it doesn't work. That would suck. Because this main base, which is the center, which everything bolts to, is what's going to be burnt out. Okay, so now that we got these adjusted, which is basically just showing you, it doesn't tell you where to put it, you're just going to kind of guess. Again, I think I would put it all the way up like this, and then when you get everything on there, either you or you with an assistant kind of figure out where you want it. But okay, that was bubble 6. We're now on step 7, bubble 7. Attach center mounting bracket to monitor with 4 thumb screws. Okay, you know what? I think I'm going to pause here. My monitors come in the mail tomorrow. I could bolt everything on. Well, you know what? The thumb screws look the same. Let's go for it. I was going to say I was going to wait till I had the monitors, because really these brackets, it's easier if you mount this to the monitor first. Not that you have to do it that way. But, okay. So this right here, let's see if the picture shows. It doesn't really show it on the picture very well, but like that. And then, you kind of see that? See how you got this little part with a hole, and this doesn't have it? That's down, because that, you're going to slide up and down. You'll see how it fits in like a puzzle. You got the four monitor thumb screws, but you also got 1 single screw, and that's going to go into this so that this can't come off. So what I am going to do for now is just leave that like that. Again, I'm going to put it in this video. We're just going to pause it, and then I will edit it in, splice it in, and tomorrow for you guys will happen that quick. So that's that back. Then when we get to 8, make sure I didn't lose anything here. 8 is basically the hardware. So step 7 was just me putting this on here loose. Step 8 showing you the hardware, which we're going to come back to. And then step 9, that's got to be that side one. They look a little different. Oh, attach center screw. That's that screw that goes in here, the 5th one in this bag, which again, I'm not going to do that yet. So we're going to skip step 8, because that's just adding the screw once, and they're assuming you have the monitor on there. Okay, 10 is going to be the monitors. This is step 10. So that's pretty straightforward. So what we're going to do here, and again, you would have the monitors on here. Make sure I got that right. Now, you got a fat side and you got a skinny hole. You want to have the fat hole going down. See how that's got a step-up collar right there? So 50-50 chance you do it right. I picked right on this one, and then on this one I had the flip line. And then I'm guessing there's a screw that's going to go on the top of these. Yes. Let me open this up for you. It actually may be easier for you to see it before you do it to your monitor. So, another one of these, kind of like what we have, the four we have on the space, that's going to go like that. Bingo. That's what's going to keep your monitor. So, you can pivot it this way, and, ooh, that's tight. Why is that not letting me put that? You have to loosen it. I wonder if this works. That's probably the 14 coming up on another step. But I can loosen that. Yeah, we'll do that when we get the monitor. But it looks like they tighten that center bolt. Let me try to turn it for you. So for you to pivot the monitor this way, you're going to have to loosen that. But they obviously tighten it, so when you bolt this to the monitor, like they say in the instructions, you don't put the monitor on and then it flops down. That's probably going to be a bubble ahead that tells you how to loosen that. I'm surprised they didn't put that on a quick release also. But at any rate, there's your thumb screws. So basically, what do they call that? Not a Viva mount, a Vesa mount. I want to say you got 3 patterns. So see how you got the inner 4 that make a square, the middle 4 and the outer 4? I don't know if the outer is 100 millimeters. We'll get to that when I mount the monitors. But basically, as long as you have VESA mountable monitors, these little thumb screws, that's a universal standard. It should screw right in. So in that bag, you get 4 of them, and you get this one. And that's in that bag. And then, let me go ahead and seal that so I don't lose anything till tomorrow. You got another bag, same hardware, for the other side. I don't want this flopping off for now, so I'm going to go ahead and do this again. Hopefully I'm not too high on you. Yeah, you probably can't see that, YouTube, can you? If you don't, you'll see it when I do the monitors. Okay, so that one can't slide. Seal this baggie. And then again, you don't have a nice one like this for the center. It's just a screw that'll come from the bottom. And then 4 of those thumb screws for these VESA mount holes. Okay, and actually that's it. Once those monitors are going to be on, it's going to be done. So that was actually really straightforward. Without babbling and screwing around, this could be a 5 or 10 minute project, especially if you watch a quick video, make sure there's nothing you're overlooking. This isn't too bad. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up, and then I'll splice in the monitors.